Hello everybody, this is Llodg, and today I want to talk about Realm of Ink. I'm playing the game on Steam, and this game was actually provided by Leap Studios, so I wanted to thank them for the review copy, but even though I do have a review copy provided by them, all my thoughts are completely my own. Now if you don't know, Realm of Ink is a roguelite similar to Hades, but I will say that compared to Hades, this game is a lot easier, and in this video you'll hear me compare Realm of Ink to Hades a lot. And that's mostly because Hades is one of my favorite roguelites, so it's not like to disparage Realm of Ink or anything. I just think it's like a big game to compare to, so that's really where my comparisons are going to be. But I do think Realm of Ink is an interesting game that stands on its own. You play as Red, and you kind of have to go through and defy your destiny. If you ask me, the story isn't too important for this game. I don't think it's as like initially captivating as say Hades. But you actually can't die in this game, and each run, you're revived by this fox goddess to do a whole new one, grow stronger, and all that stuff that you'd find in a roguelite. And I think it's pretty interesting. I think the characters look really cool. Like the goddesses. I like their designs. I think their voice actors do a pretty good job. Nothing that immediately made me like fall super in love with this game just for the voice acting, but I think it's all serviceable enough.
I've been told you're the resident bookkeeper. Anything I need to settle for my account?
So, you're the one setting out to explore the ruins.
I'm the one.
But talking about the characters, I wanted to actually talk about the gameplay where you'll see these characters. Because throughout each room, you could see some of them pop up. Now, they mostly will appear before like the floor boss or like mid boss where you can buy a bunch of stuff, refill on health, get some more upgrades. But they can also just show up randomly in different rooms, and I think it's always really cool to see them. And it leads to the game's biggest mechanic, which is depending on like the rooms and like the luck you get, getting different abilities. Now, this is one of my favorite aspects of this type of roguelite, where each run can be really different depending on what you get. But it leads to one of my biggest disappointments with this game, and it's that like a lot of the different abilities you get, you can only have 2 of them. So it leads to me being like picking and choosing, where in a game like Hades, I can just like get more and more and more, and just feel stronger during the run. In Realm of Ink, I didn't really feel that. For a lot of them, it would just be like what sounds cooler, and then like upgrade that specific one. I don't know if they could have like changed it a little bit to have more like attribute based abilities, where it's like your run will be better, or you can do this when you dash. But a lot of them were like Q and E, where it's like you'll do this attack or you do this attack. I really would have thought that you would do more attribute ones. I think the fact that you can upgrade them makes me not want to like leave any behind. I think the game's pretty easy to where you can play the game this way and still make it pretty far. I'm going to bring up Hades again, but Hades I feel like is a really difficult game that takes a lot to kind of get through, especially on your first runs. Now maybe I just have played so much Hades that I have that like ingrained in me now, to where when I play Realm of Ink I just go through it really fast, but I still feel like it's pretty easy. I don't feel like I had a point where it's like I'm stuck on this particular boss and I have to run through like 50 times just to beat them. I'm able to get pretty far, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think games can stand to be a bit easier sometimes. But I don't know, when you're comparing it to one of the best roguelites, it's hard to kind of not see those differences and why I think Hades works so well. That's not to say Realm of Ink is bad, I just prefer how Hades did it. But yeah, I think the abilities that you do get are fun. It's really fun to slash through enemies. Some of the enemies I feel like they could use a bit more like variety, but oh well. To me they all feel really similar. But this game does have a little pet with Momo who actually turns into different types of pets, depending on like the abilities you get, which I think is really cool. The fact that you get a pet, I think, makes this game really cool. I don't know, just add something. It gives like the character of Red something to like kind of bounce off of, even though there's not too much of that. I love that you get to feed him and make him bigger. I think that's a great mechanic. But yeah, I think the bosses are fun. It can be a little chaotic, but again, I feel like if you just like keep upgrading your damage, it can make the bosses go down really quick. Despite that, there's still replayability in this game. You have so many different costumes to potentially get. And a lot of these costumes have different types of weapons, like this bamboo staff. You can be Gambit from Marvel Rivals and slam it down. And I always love costumes in games, so I chose this one costume with the white hair and I loved it. That alone gives me a lot of want to replay this game and do more runs just to unlock those different costumes. And there's a lot of different costumes, so you'll have a lot to potentially do. And the art of this game I think really stands on its own. It's a little similar to Hades, but it definitely has its own style of being more like Chinese paintings. And I think it looks really wonderful, especially in this 2D style with these 3D character models. I think it works really well, and I love the art before the floor bosses. It looks so cool, these guys look amazing, I love it. And the art in general I just think looks good. I think the character models and character art looks good. I love seeing more of them. I love seeing when this dog showed up, even though he was a doge. I think it's cool to see these new characters and see what the artist can do. I will say though, while I do like the voice acting for these characters, the actual text boxes I think are a little weird, and for the most part there's not too much voice acting. I think you can kind of expect it from this type of game. But some of the text boxes don't exactly line up with what they're saying, and I only saw it once to where they said a different word. But that was a little bit noticeable. And then the text boxes themselves, if they have an apostrophe, there's a big space and I don't get why it's there. I think it's definitely something to do with the font, but it is a little weird. But yeah, overall I still think that this game was pretty fun. If you like roguelites, I would suggest to check it out. Especially if you have a Switch or a Steam Deck. This game actually runs really well on my Steam Deck. And I feel like these games are perfect to be played on the go. I really did enjoy playing this on my PC with a keyboard and mouse, weirdly enough. But yeah, I do recommend Realm of Ink, even though I do think it has some issues, and I think it could use some more depth, and it could be a bit more difficult. But still, overall, I still think a fun game that's worth your time to check out. I think if these devs have another chance to make another game like this, like a Realm of Ink 2, I think they could really knock it out of the park. Maybe they learn a lot from this game and are able to make the next game even better. But let me know if you've played Realm of Ink. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And once again, I want to say thank you to Leap Studio for providing me with a review copy. I really enjoyed playing this game. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video, have a good day, and goodbye.